Today I'll be delving into The Last Supper by Leonardo da Vinci. Introducing Leonardo da Vinci. He was born to a prominent Tuscan family of potters and notaries. He apprenticed under Verrocchio at 17. In 1472, he joined the Artists Guild Compagnia di San Luca. Iconography of this painting is that it depicts the Passover, the Last Supper, where Jesus is sharing a meal with his 12 disciples. It is referenced in the Bible in Matthew 26:17-29, where Jesus reveals that one of his disciples will betray him. Emotions that were revealed are captured in the painting, and it captures a moment where in the Bible it says that the disciples were sorrowful and then proceeded to ask Jesus, "Is it I, Lord?" He shares his feast with the disciples of bread and wine, the wine representing his blood with his disciples and then foreshadowing in the future that he will be crucified and resurrected. Historical context of this painting is that it was a popular subject. The Last Supper was a popular subject for the walls of monasteries and convents in the 15th century Italy, where nuns and monks would like to eat in the presence of Jesus. It was commissioned by Ludovico Sforza, the Duke of Milan, and his patron. This depicts Passion Week, where the start of Passion Week is Palm Sunday. Jesus enters Jerusalem triumphal and filled with joy. After, it is the Last Supper, where it is filled with confusion and dread as Jesus reveals news to his disciples of betrayal and denial. Next, leaders are turned against him, which leads to crucifixion, where he dies on the cross, and then 3 days later he is resurrected from the dead. Formal elements and analysis. On the table, the bread and wine refers to the Holy Communion that is shared and that is done among Christians today. We can see aerial perspective, which creates the illusion of depth from the dull colors of the horizon in the background. The composition of Jesus forming a triangle. His pose is not overlapped by anyone, and you can see that the disciples are formed in groups of 3, which represents the Holy Trinity, and in 4 groups, which represent the 4 Gospels in the Bible. There is 1-point linear perspective, as seen here, and the composition is neatly arranged with Jesus in the center and his apostles on the left and right of him. We can see that there is movement with the subjects rather than a frozen. There is movement in the subjects, depicting this moment in time of so many emotions on the disciples' faces. However, there is a visual paradox that the table seems too big for the table to fit into the room. The technique that was used was a dry technique where he applied pigments to a white layer instead of directly on wet plaster, making this method much more vulnerable and fragile than fresco. The environmental conditions deteriorated the paintings over the years, which led to a 20-year restoration process that ended in 1999. Even now, there is a limitation of 15 minutes in groups of 35 to go, and if you would like to see the Passover in real life. We see effects of chiaroscuro, of the lights and darks, and the study of light and optics. It portrays the study of light and light in relation to perspective. We can see that there was an experiment with the perspective with an influence of light, where Da Vinci particularly explored the effects of light, optics, and the rendering of figure shadows onto each other. The shadows that were depicted here clearly show that He considered the shadows onto each other to make it very realistic. In his notebooks, he describes that there's one laying his hand on the table and is looking, another blows air out of his mouth, another leans forward to see the speaker shading his eyes on his hand, another draws back behind one who leans forward and sees the speaker between the wall and the man who is leaning. Many have said that the reproduction of food on the table to the tablecloths are very, very real and realistic. We can see the deterioration here of the painting over the years, which led to the restoration process. The influence of Leonardo da Vinci was very vast. His approach to creating illusion of space and representing human psychology and expression, gesture, and posture influenced the future generation. It inspired countless reproductions. It also influenced still life, with the effects of light and dark that he studied. There is an attention to the reflection of light on inanimate objects, which also influenced still life. In conclusion, as a man of many talents, Leonardo da Vinci's masterpiece was considered the Last Supper. It represents the Passover of Jesus and his disciples sharing a meal, and it reveals that someone will betray him and deny him, which alludes to the events leading up to his death and resurrection. Elements of perspective, depth, colors, emotions depicted on subjects' faces, the study of light and optics, composition was characteristic of the High Renaissance. And Leonardo da Vinci continues to be an influence on future generations to come. And here are the sources. Thank you.